Okay, apologies for the delayed release this week. It is Friday afternoon. But as they say, we save the best for last, especially here in the Path Interference podcast. And we're not talking about the best football of the season. We're talking about one of the best guests we've had in a while. And I have to say, as it is the day after Thanksgiving, it is the time for giving thanks. I am thankful for a few people in my life, let alone sports media, than our current guest, Karen Guregian of MassLive, which, Karen, you left me, abandoned me at the Herald 18 months ago. Is it still weird hearing Karen Guregian from MassLive and not the Boston Herald?
It is. And don't make me cry. Come on now. I miss you too. But
I don't know if I said that.
Come on. My former partner in crime.
Yeah.
I think my departure has led you to bigger and better things. How's that?
Well, thank you. It's a wonderful non-answer by you, not anything to do with the question I asked, but I appreciate you deeply, which you know, so we won't spend too much more time on that. What we are going to spend time on today, Patriots have a game Sunday, playing the Colts. Before that, we're going to talk a little Jabril Peppers because he returns to facility on Tuesday. You have some reporting that I missed as I was, very, I want to say cautiously, right, around domestic violence, around legal situations, trying to pen a column. And lo and behold, you had the answer all along. Before we get to that, I want to talk about what we learned today at Gillette Stadium. Good draw mail press conference, a lot of small nuggets. And before we get to that, can't tell we got a jam-packed episode today. Two reasons to be thankful. I took up a long tradition by you. X amount of reasons for the Patriots fans to be thankful this season, which has been harder. It's been harder since you left. But I gave 9, and I asked you for 2. Wow. Neither can be Drake Maye. So what do you got?
Well, first of all, if you came up with 9, that's award-winning.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, reasons to be grateful. They might not think the case, but the fact that they're in line for a top 5 or a top 10 pick, I would put pretty high on the list. I think, depending on how high they go, they could actually move down and gain more assets because they have so many holes to fill, kind of like last year, except they do have the quarterback. But now one might hope that they would actually find a left tackle who's played left tackle before, as opposed to signing free agent right tackles and drafting right tackles and then expecting them to play left tackle, which has not worked out.
Okay, but staying positive. We're grateful today. We're thankful today.
Okay. Well, I'm grateful they have another chance at it. How's that?
Yes. Good.
And this one is kind of a personal one, but I'm really glad they beat Aaron Rodgers and the Jets the second time around. Well, and it was good that they could beat someone who's as messed up as they are. I mean, the Jets have a far more talented team, but I don't know. I kind of like that win personally. How's that?
No, that was the last reason I had on the 9. It's the Jets. Because here's the deal when you're the Patriots. And this was true in the Cam Newton year. It was true when they went 8-9 and Matt Patricia and Joe Judge were walking around the sidelines like a couple of turkeys. And then it was true last year. And it's true again this year. Even in the darkest days of this franchise, you still have the Jets who don't have a head coach, who don't have a general manager, who have a quarterback who's on the way out the door, a la the Joker, walking out as the hospital blows up behind him in the dark night. And he might not be smiling, though he is when he's talking to McAfee. But the point is, it's still worse. Right down I-95 out there in East Rutherford in Florham Park where they have their headquarters. So I'm going to give you one more because I'm going to have 2 really quickly. The return of the silver pants. Karen, I think the blandest, most boring home uniforms in the NFL do belong to the Patriots. It's the Navy on Navy. It was fine as like, oh, okay, they're changing it up Thursday night, alternate. No more. I want them abolished. I want the silver pants back. It's a simple compliment to the silver helmet. It's a classic look. They've been slowly incorporated more and more. I felt thankful. That was reason number 8.
I find it interesting that a lot of you guys, not just you, are so interested in wardrobe. I mean, usually
Look at me. I'm in a high school sweatshirt. I'm a very fashionable guy, Karen.
Well, that would be like a female thing, like the uniforms.
Don't stereotype now. We're not wrong though, right? Silver pants upgrade.
Huh? Yeah,
Number
I like the silver pants.
all right, good.
I wasn't a big fan of the color rush for anybody, really.
Yeah,
So
very good.
blue on blue, contrast.
Little
How's
spice it up. Speaking of spice it up, here are 3 nuggets in a minute. Not yet. You were going to pick one. This is from Gerard Mayo today. Number one, Cole Strange. Going to wait another week. He is still on the PUP list. They have until December 10th to activate him. It seems likely because Gerard Mayo said, yeah, the plan is for him to play. That they'll do that not this week, not next week when they're on the bye, but the week after before they play Arizona. That's nugget number one. Number two is, as you and I were just talking off air, Matt Eberflus canned by the Bears for the worst end of game clock management I have ever seen, heard of, anything related to that. And soon after watching the Bears game in his house, Gerard Mayo calls Evan Rothstein on Thanksgiving, his assistant quarterbacks coach, director of game management, which I don't know about you, feels a little strong for a director title to me. Alas, he calls Evan Rothstein and says, hey, let's talk through this. Number three, Gerard Mayo says specifically, over the last 5 games, they need to learn about their guys. I said, okay, which guys? Layden Robinson, Cole Strange, Caden Wallace, and then quote the receiver. So those are the 3 nuggets. You're going to pick one. But in a second, in the meantime, I want to remind everybody, Patriots only have 3 games at home left this season. And if you're going to go and you want to get a ticket and you want to spend any more money than you have to, go to Game Time. I did this last week, taking my cousin to a University of Miami game. I'm going to do this when I go to a Celtics game that I'm not covering. And when I just want to have a beer as opposed to a post-game story and homework to do when I go to the Garden. And you can do that at Game Time where they have the lowest price guarantee. And if you find a lower price elsewhere, it's 110% of the difference back to you. Anywhere, you're going to find a lower ticket. Spoiler alert, you're not. So go to Game Time right now where you can find your seat view. This is my favorite feature. At Gillette, the Garden, you can do this for concert, show, whatever it might be. And again, the Patriots are playing. You got the Celtics. The Bruins are still rolling. Well, rolling, maybe stumbling. So just download the Game Time app today because we are giving you $20 when you create an account. Use CLNS for that promo code. Again, promo code CLNS and get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CLNS for your first purchase at Game Time. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's Game Time. All right. The people have been waiting.
Well, of those 3, I'm going to touch on one real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to move number 2 down to later in the show.
Oh, okay.
And I want to talk about number 3, but number 1, Cole Strange being moved back, not a surprise. If you've watched him, his first practice back, he looked like a kid who was just learning how to play again. And he said he had to learn how to walk again. So it shouldn't come as a surprise that, he's not quite ready just yet. And I would say it's good to wait for him. Last question, Gerard wanting to get a look at mostly his draft picks. And it's been a tough to kind of navigate between winning games and trying to find out what you have on your roster, particularly the younger guys. But I think we've hit the point with 5 games to play that you need to know, can the 2 rookie receivers, do they really look like busts or is there hope for them? Baker hasn't been able to get on the field. He's had some problems, making mistakes, running wrong routes, yada, yada, yada. Polk came up with a dropsy problem that was new to him. And making mistakes. So you have to see, Polk especially, a 2nd-round pick, they just shoved Tyquan Thornton out the door. He was a bust, obviously. They need to see, Elliott Wolf needs to see about their evaluation of wide receivers. And is this a continuation, what was happening under Bill Belichick? Or, did they just miss it on these guys? So they have to know, because that's going to help them, on their priority list next year, what they have to do. Offensive linemen as well. Are they serviceable? Can they start? when I saw Layden Robinson early on, I thought he was going to be something because he was a bit of a mauler.
Mm-hmm.
But he's kind of a one-trick pony. He's good in run blocking because he is a mauler, but he's not good in pass protection. Is that a matter of technique? Can they help him with technique? So they have to, get an idea about these players before they really can put an imprint or a battle plan ahead as to how to attack the offseason and what they need.
Yeah, it's interesting too because, each player obviously is its own individual case-by-case basis. Cole Strange is the only year 3 player that he mentioned. Unless, Tyquan Thornton would have been the only third-year receiver in that group, but as you mentioned, he's gone. So you have a bigger sample with Cole Strange. 27 career starts. Even if he's going to get a little bit better, it's probably not leaps and bounds at this point. You look at a guy like Kayshon Boutte, also had a year 2 leap. It's been small, but probably tracking for a career as a receiver 4, number receiver 5. Then you go to the rookies. Those are the only players that I hear Gerard say this and go, specifically in guys like Caden Wallace's case. I really don't know much yet, right? Like, I feel pretty confident what it looks like so far for Jalen Polk. And it's not that he can't get better. There's only one direction for him to go based on his game tape. But there's a larger sample there that tells me. And with Javon Baker, that sample's not on the field, but it's certainly in practice. It's certainly off the field. And in concert with everything we knew about him before the draft and why some teams just took him completely off their draft boards, I kind of know who that guy is. But players who haven't played a whole lot or in positions like offensive tackle where that year 2 leap is significant, because really rookie offensive linemen, even top 5, top 10 picks aren't very good. That's what's intriguing to me. I think you're going to learn more about them over these last 5 games than you will guys like Cole Strange or maybe even Layden Robinson, who, to your point, he's going to play left guard, it looks like, on Sunday. Even if he fails, I don't think that tells me anything. Or if he succeeds, because it's just a 1-game sample for a guy that's really kind of ridden a roller coaster this year.
Yeah, I agree with all that. But getting back to Cole Strange for a second, a lot of his work while he was rehabbing was done playing center. Mm-hmm. And with David Andrews not a guarantee for next year, if Cole Strange can be either a good backup or someone who could potentially take over for, they need David Andrews' replacement. And you have to see, can Cole Strange handle that, before you go hog wild bringing in centers, I think.
It's a good point.
Ben Brown is fine, but I don't I don't foresee him being either the future center of their future after David or the future backup.
Yeah. Real quick aside, and then we're going to get to Jabril Peppers because you had the best reporting about Jabril's situation as it happened today. And this is a big storyline this week in Foxborough. Ben Brown was holding court in the locker room. And I don't know if these two things are connected, but there was a prank some of the rookie offensive linemen played on Jotham Russell, who's practice squad pass rusher. He's from Australia. And there was something involved with whether Ben Brown was involved or not. But I learned this soon after seeing him hold court in the locker room today. Jotham Russell was instructed and did say the Pledge of Allegiance at Thanksgiving, believing that was part of the Thanksgiving American holiday. So he stood up and started saying it on his lonesome, this poor Australian, hanging out with some teammates who had some good fun at his expense. Anyway, Jabril Peppers, he was removed from the commissioner's exempt list on Monday. On Tuesday, the Patriots welcome him back into the building. And Gerard, answers, I think it was close to 10 questions from us on Tuesday morning because they moved everything up due to the holiday. And in that press conference said he's going to practice. I don't know if he'll play yet. We don't still know here on Friday if Jabril is going to play. But if I had to bet, I would say he would. And beyond that, didn't really take ownership of a decision that was clear, right? Either the Patriots had enough information from the 7 weeks that it's been he's away for facing charges of assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, strangulation, and a minor, possession charge for cocaine. His quote was, "It is cocaine," when it was discovered on his person. Or they're going to operate by the fact that in this country, and I think this is the right approach, frankly, broad philosophically, innocent until proven guilty. And so my question, was, okay, why didn't they just take ownership of this? And I wrote, it seems they're confident because once he comes off the commissioner's exempt list, the Patriots can do what they want. Like, he's available to be on their active roster. They can say you can go home, continue what is essentially paid leave, or you can come back, you can practice and play. But right now the ball is in their court. And what they chose to do was not run a play that the NFL gave them, which is kind of how Gerard described it. It was to put Jabril in a set. For now, it's practice. It could be a game on Sunday, and they're good with that, which to me said, given the Kraft's history and the hard line they've taken against domestic violence, given what they said at the beginning, we're going to investigate here. And what Jabril told us Tuesday afternoon, which was that his legal team has cooperated with the NFL, and he himself has spoken with ownership. Whatever those conversations were, the Patriots are confident enough that he could be exonerated. Now, whether that confidence is warranted or not remains to be seen. But for now, that was my read on the situation. And lo and behold, I should have just read your reporting, which said, yes, sir, that's a fact. And I can tell you per sources. So fill in the blanks. What do we know? What can you do to advance what I just said and what most people know about this story and situation?
Well, first of all, I came away from Gerard Mayo's press conference answering or not answering 10 questions or whatever it was with more questions. Yes. Because he basically laid it at the lap. Well, he's off the exempt list, so he's playing. And replaying in my mind, as he's saying this over and over and over again, was the press conference they had when Jabril was put on the exempt list. Gerard talking about how serious the charges were, him having 2 daughters, they're gonna conduct their own investigation. I was thinking back to Robert Kraft being on the Breakfast Club show, whatever that was, and looking at the police report and the charges and saying he wanted to puke after seeing those charges. And from that picture in my mind to Gerard just saying, well, he's off the exempt list now, so welcome back. So again, I, like you, are in the innocent until proven guilty category, but I sort of needed to fill in some blanks. So after that, after hearing Peppers, I did a little investigating with some people in the organization, let's say, and several of them told me that they had done their own investigation and they were satisfied with how that turned out to the point that they would allow him back. They were also going off of the league's investigation and what their finding was. So I think that gave them confidence to say, come on back, as to why they couldn't say it. I think they couldn't just say, well, we're happy with our investigation. I'm told that they could not because of the pending case. So
right. And there's a couple things here. One, I want to back up and say that in a great majority of these cases, like statistically across the country, across recent history, cases like this come up, the accusations are verified. There very, very few instances are women filing these charges, making these accusations, and having it be a complete lie or fabricated. Okay. So when Peppers is accused of these things, not only are they serious, but in all likelihood, he is guilty in some form or fashion. Okay. Yeah. That's number one. And so that's obviously, you're taking it serious based on what the charges are, but also the history of how these things typically go, even though when you look in places like the internet and specifically people with the Patriots logo in their avatar, oh, it's fake because I want my football player back. This is BS, just looking for money, end his career, whatever, which is also what Jabril told the police. And again, whether their Patriots apparent confidence, which is what we're talking about, is warranted, whether their investigation was good enough, whether they do have all of the facts, we don't know. Okay. So that is categorically my stance, I believe is yours as well, because number two, the Patriots investigation probably largely consists of the evidence, which his lawyer has claimed to be a video exonerating him or contradicting what her claims are. To what extent, we don't know which of all of the claims, which include him allegedly choking her, slamming her head against the wall at least 6 times. We don't have the specifics, but there's also real no reason for her defense team to play ball here. They know the NFL's coming at this from a place of, oh, not just pure morals and trying to deliver justice here. Their interest is self-interest in protecting their player and the shield and any allegations against this, which doesn't say they don't punish players who do bad things. But in this instance, why would I share that with you, knowing that you could twist this or leak certain things that might damage my case, even if it's only in the public court of opinion? So if you don't have the defense team's evidence or whatever they're alleging, which has probably happened by now, by the way, in a pretrial conference, and there's a date set for January 22nd, you don't have the whole picture. The point is, as you reported, I surmised the Patriots are happy enough. We'll see if it burns them. If not, in the meantime, Jabril Peppers is back, and I would guess he's going to play all 5 games. What do you think happens next?
Yeah, I mean, Gerard wouldn't say definitively that Jabril was going to play, but it seemed to be trending, let's say, trending toward that happening. But I do want to say that, in talking with one of my colleagues, Matt Vautour, we both thought, okay, it's one thing to be standing by what your in-house investigation provided, but you better be darn well confident, because if Jabril Peppers is eventually found guilty, I mean, it's egg on their face. It brings back, and again, 2 completely different situations. It brings back to mind Aaron Hernandez and Robert Kraft in the Dynasty docuseries, saying he was duped, and he was going to be damned if he was ever duped again by another player, right? So obviously, Robert Kraft spoke to Jabril Peppers. Jabril Peppers said whatever he had to say, whatever the investigation turned up, satisfied the Patriots enough to welcome him back. But again, if this kind of history keeps repeating, that they trust the player and then, come to find out later on, yeah, he was guilty of this awful domestic violence case, throwing a woman downstairs and beating her. I mean, and that kind of makes you think that, boy, they had to be pretty sure.
You two are absolutely right. You certainly hope so. And again, just like the NFL, the Patriots' interest is for all of this to be fabricated. Like whatever Robert says, there's a reason for them to be performative about, oh my gosh, how bad this is. And of course, we're not holding him as this kind of moral standard. Someone, the line draws at Robert Kraft. There are plenty of other issues that are unrelated, just like, the Aaron Hernandez case that you brought up. Very different situation. So I don't want anyone coming after you for oh my God, they're not the same thing. Of course they're not. We know that.
I said they weren't.
Right. They're not. But the point being that the idea, this should go beyond, I believe, the player. This should certainly go beyond, I believe, the lawyer he's employed to keep him out of jail. That guy has a job to do. That guy's going to say what he needs to do. That's just how lawyering works. This should go into hard evidence, and whatever they have, even if it's obviously going to be incomplete, seem persuasive to them. That doesn't need to be persuasive to you or to me or anyone listening. But I think that just about wraps it, because Jabril Peppers is going to play football. It's a hard pivot from where we were 7 weeks ago when he first went away, and their stance and everything, which also could have been performative. But we'll see. The one last thing I'll say, though, is this. Unlike the players we just talked about, where, Gerard really needs to know more about Layden Robinson and Cole Strange and the receivers and yada, yada. Jabril Peppers is a fully formed NFL player. There's no more discovery there. He's a hard-hitting safety, ideally a box safety, can play a little free safety, but there's no incentive for them to, you want them on the field, they want to win, obviously a little bit, but it's a little bit less than if they were, let's say, pushing for the playoffs or even contending beyond that. Is that fair?
Absolutely fair.
Okay. I just mentioned a hard pivot. You ready for another one?
I am.
Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports game. You need to play this year, because even when the Patriots are losing, you can win. And it can be on Sundays, it can be on Mondays, it could be on Thursdays. Hell, it could be Tuesdays and Wednesdays if you're watching the NBA or the NHL, because Prize Picks hands out billions. That's right, billions of dollars so far this year. And that's all up to you whether you want to join that in. You can make your picks at Prize Picks in less than 60 seconds. And this is how you do it. You build a lineup. built of 2 to 6 players, across sports, same sports, whatever it is. With those players, they have a stat that you get to choose. And after that stat, you go more or you go less. So Drake Maye right now on Prize Picks is at 0.5 touchdown passes. If you think he's going to throw more than half a touchdown pass, put Drake Maye in your lineup, touchdown passes, and hit more. If you think Drake Maye is going to throw for more than, I think it's around 220 passing yards, Drake Maye, passing yards, more than. It's that simple. You can turn your takes into real money, and you can do it in less than 60 seconds and win up to 100 times your money with as few as 4 correct picks. So sign up today at Prize Picks. Get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. You don't even need to win to get the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 off instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. My 2 Prize picks of the week, by the way, Hunter Henry, more than 43.5 yards. This is a bottom 10 defense for the Colts against tight ends. He has played well against the Colts in recent matchups. You can look this up. And I'm going to go with the one that I just threw out there, Drake Maye, more than 0.5 touchdown passes, because the kid is just going to get one. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. You're probably pretty happy about that. Here we go. The Colts checking in on them. They are 5-7, 21st overall by DVOA, 21st in offense, 16 on defense. Their last 4 games, a 24-6 home loss to the Lions. No shame in that. A 28-27 win at the Jets, because everyone's doing it now. The Pats, the Colts, last second, just shank the Jets. Before that, a 30-20 loss versus Buffalo. Before that, 21-13 loss at Minnesota. The Patriots 3-9. Now the worst team in the league, according to the DVOA. You might disagree. I think I would. 31st in offense, 30th on defense. So I say to you, between 2 bad teams, Guregian, what interests you most about this football game?
Seeing the Patriots approach. I mean, are they really going to do what Gerard Mayo said and have us start getting a better look at some of these players? Or because they're home against an opponent that they might think they have a chance to beat, whether they go, well, this is going to sound odd, go all out for the win, by putting Jabril Peppers in there, by having Kendrick Bourne play more of the snaps than Jalen Polk and Javon Baker. And again, that's that kind of tricky, fine balance. I think the Patriots would like to, kind of privately, Mayo would like to have as many wins as last year's team, which is 4, nothing to brag about. But if you look at the rest of the schedule, the rest of the way, this might be the easier of the remaining 5 opponents.
Oh, it is undoubtedly so.
With 2 Buffalo games on tap, and who knows if they're going to be playing for the top seed or what. So I'm going to be curious to see exactly how they make that balance of, playing the regulars or trying to get more intel on these players that they don't know about.
I like it. It's interesting too, because Gerard, we gave the 3 nuggets earlier. One thing that stuck out to me was his, not insistence, but his mention of the fact that, again, hey, we're laying the foundation. You can't rebuild unless you have a foundation upon which to build. That's how this works. So that is their attitude, which tells me, as I wrote and said here about a month ago, hey, they're going to play the kids. This is where the page turns. Out of the playoff race, second half of the season, these kids are going to play. But at the same time, culture relies on the results, the buy-in you're able to cultivate, like proof of concept. And okay, you've only lost 2 in a row here, the Rams and the Dolphins. But the second one was such a step back that had all of us going, oh my God. It does raise the question of, as you're saying, play the vets, try to win, or continue to rebuild, lay this foundation, which also just might not even work. Like if the kids are bad, it's not helping anything now or later.
Right. I hearken back to Bill Parcells' first year and Bill Belichick's first year. People probably don't remember. It's like Parcells was 1-11 the savior Bill was 1-11 to start that first season of his. And then they won those last 4 games to kind of build some momentum into, or, at least more positive thoughts. They showed progress. Whereas in the next year, they won like 10 games and were in the playoffs. So you got to feel or see a little bit of that progress, building momentum, heading into the second year of Bill Parcells' existence. And he was definitely under the rebuild category. Maybe not so much when Bill Belichick took over, but he wasn't that great that first year. His team, that Patriots team that finished 5-11, didn't start out so great, but I think they won 3 of their last 6, or most of their wins came in the bottom tier of the schedule. And guess what happened the year after that? Andrew, quiz. Yeah, they got into the playoffs and won the Super Bowl. So it is important building that culture, setting the foundation, showing signs of progress. And progress you equate with wins, heading into your next season.
Yeah, and these are 2 separate things, right? And we'll get into 3-2-1, 3 matchups, 2 keys, 1 wild card thought, and we'll get out with a game pick. But the point about culture and foundation, it goes both ways. Like, you need to have winning habits before you actually win. But in order to reinforce that these are winning habits in the first place, there need to be results that show that. So for players, it could be, progress individually. I'm getting better. I see this. I feel it. I know it on tape. Or the team having a surprise win or closing a game that they've really not been able to close, say for that Jets comeback win. And that's it. Which, again, everyone is doing that to the Jets now, and the other team they've beaten since. Chicago just fired its head coach today, and the day after losing to the Patriots, or 2 days, fired their offensive coordinator. So that's what happens to you when you lose to the Patriots. You fall apart instantly, top down. But culture is just habits and attitudes. That's all it is. There's no magical one. There's no secret sauce. It's what are you doing day to day? How often does that produce these type of results? And it's a full circle thing. All right.
Yeah.
One quick thing for me, and then I want to know what your matchup is, because there are a lot here that are really key battlegrounds, I think, that could kind of swing the war that will be Sunday. Drake Maye's discipline is something I talked about a lot on my last episode, because he's got 11 turnovers right now and 10 touchdown passes. Okay. And what you've seen of these turnovers are not just of the, dumb kid, rookie mistake kind of garden variety. It's been the same we saw at North Carolina his last year. The hero ball. I need to make this throw. I can make this throw. I'm overcoming bad protection and receivers that don't get open. This is me overcoming that. I'll do it all on my own because I think I have to. And instead, the ball goes to the other team, or he fumbles, or whatever might happen. And the Patriots seem to get that out of him in the first 4 to 5 games. When, he had turnovers, but they weren't this YOLO ball, hero ball attitude. The Colts play a lot of zone. They don't blitz, but when they do, they like to bring their defensive backs. To me, Karen, that's the shift we've seen defenses take with Drake Maye. And I think that consistency is going to test his discipline, because ideally the bye week would be now. It's not. It's next week. But can he make a small U-turn from what I see is, granted, some games you're down 31-0. You got to take chances. That's not what I'm saying. Can he be a little bit more of the Drake Maye we saw earlier this year?
That's a huge question. And are these bad habits forming because of the situation he's in? Yes, he tended to play hero ball, but has that grown because he really has to play hero ball in this situation because he's it? There's nobody else. And I think to a different degree, you saw that with Mac Jones. The difference is Mac Jones doesn't have the ability that Drake Maye has. Mac Jones thrown across his body to the other side of the field when he's running to the right. I mean, that was criminal for him to really stupid for him.
Give me a headache, Karen.
But yet that's what he was trying to do to try and lift a team that was liftless, basically. Drake May has the ability to make those type of sensational plays. I think you're right. I think he needs to pick his spots better. But the other part that's a little concerning to me is he's like careless with the ball in terms of, that sack fumble. He was trying to get out of the way. But when you're trying to get out of the way, you don't leave the ball hanging out in your right hand. I think he can fix those things. I mean, he's a fast learner. He's a good learner. And I think, I think he will be better about it. But by the same token, you don't want to totally take away that quality in him that's a bit of a gunslinger,
Yeah.
because he can make those plays. But he just has to learn the time to do the timing of it and the situation.
Yeah, it's a fine line. And he's got more than on his plate than he should. And in those situations where he is creating, he's still among the more efficient creators when you look at quarterbacks who are past their first read and then get outside of the pocket. Like, usually you lose some efficiency the more that you do this. But the elite best quarterbacks in the league right now, your Patrick Mahomes, your Josh Allen's, even Jalen Hurts, not historically, but this season has been really good. Lamar Jackson, obviously. Like, those are the elite guys that are creating. He's doing that and maintaining his efficiency in a way that you would say about an NBA team. Oh, when so-and-so, even Kobe Bryant at the peak of his powers, was running isolation offense. Like, the Lakers defense took a hit. Okay, I should have given the Paul Pierce description. But like, generally, isolation offense is more inefficient. You're not rooting for that. It's what happens at the end of games, but you can't build the whole plane out of that. And so even if the numbers are still good, he's at such a point in his career, you need to build the habits that fix his footwork to begin with, that had him playing not more conservatively, but taking a profit when it was there. And again, a lot of this is motivated by circumstance and the fact that they're behind. He doesn't have protection. It's not a wagging his finger. The point is, I hope the Patriots don't drag him back in the way they also help prop him up with these better habits in the first place. All right, specific to the Colts, give me one matchup that you're watching on Sunday.
Anthony Richardson versus the defense.
Okay.
Period.
It's a big one. It's a good one.
I think he has like 8 passing touchdowns and 7 rushing touchdowns. And while the Patriots have faced a few mobile quarterbacks in there, nothing like this guy. Their offense, half of it is design runs for him. So he's going to run. He's a big guy. And the Patriots have had a hard enough time stopping running games in particular. But if you add this quarterback into the mix, again, he might be able to beat them single-handedly, unless he gets tired and has to take a play off or two here or there, from all the running, he's
Low blow, Karen.
Well, I'm sorry.
No, it's true. It got a bench the next week. Yeah,
it did happen, but I would be concerned that they've fixed some of their edge issues and holding the edge, but they haven't been consistent with it. So we'll see what Anthony Richardson can do, or what kind of plan they have to negate his threat.
I mean, this is like a matchup, a key. This might be just the whole game unto itself, right? Like, you're not expecting the Patriots offense, bottom 5 scoring in the entire NFL, to pop off against the Colts. So let's say they get to 20. Let's be generous. They get to 20 points. What do you need to do then to hold the Colts under that? And it is, as I asked Drop today, is this a GTFB game? Get the F back, as Belichick used to say all the time to his safeties. Yes, he leads the league in yards per completion. It's 15.8. That's insane.
Yeah.
Now, when he's not throwing the ball deep, he's doing exactly as you said. It's a quarterback run game. So he's a second leading rusher by design, or sometimes scrambling. This is a very fundamental game. Keep him in the pocket. Make sure you're the deepest player on the field at all times if you're the Patriots defense, or you have the deepest player. And that's it. If you just wait him out, he's going to pull the pin, hold the grenade, and implode with one of 11 fumbles that he's got this year, or the interceptions that you mentioned. You just have to do the simple things well. Stay back deep and keep them in the pocket. Or is that too simple?
Well, we thought some of those game plans were simple for others.
You know what I mean? Like Miami's got the shifts and the motions, and you've got bad eyes over here, and we're going to test your tempo and all these things.
But,
yeah.
But yes, it would help if the defense again played well. That this guy's along with having a great rifle for an arm and can run all day long. As you said, he's interception prone. Well, the Patriots have had created just 2 turnovers in the last 6 games or something ridiculous like that. Their turnover numbers are way down.
Yeah, 2 and 6. Yep.
So I think, again, he's a young quarterback. If you get him into making mistakes, they tend to multiply. So, pick off a pass, force a fumble, do something just to kind of knock him off of getting on a roll and in a rhythm, where he can just basically pick you apart.
All right, 2 more matchups, and I want to get to your key. For me, Alec Pierce and Michael Pittman Jr., 6'3" and 6'4", versus one of Marcus Jones or Jonathan Jones, 5'8" and 5'9", respectively, is a big problem. So Anthony Richardson, yes, has a completion percentage below 50. He's got more interceptions than touchdown. He fumbles a lot. The dude knows who to throw to, and with Josh Downs out so far right now, because he's not going to play. Colts leading receiver, works over the middle of the field. He's going to go outside to his big giant targets against the Patriots' little corners. How often do they play man? How often are they matched up? And you throw enough jump balls, enough 50-50 balls, they're going to come down with 1 or 2. So that's a big matchup for me. The second one is on offense for the Patriots because, like I said, even if they just get to 20, they're going to have real problems in the middle of their line. DeForest Buckner against Ben Brent. DeForest Buckner, eats against the Patriots every single year because that's what they played them the last 3 years in a row. And he only has 4.5 sacks. It's Pine Quiddy Pay, who's got 5.5. He's got a higher sack percentage, based on games played. And he's a freaking stud. So I'm the Colts. You play a lot of even fronts, a lot of 4 down. But when they get into obvious passing situations, they'll put one over the center, over the guard, and over the tackle, and then one defensive end on the opposite side to get him theoretically a one-on-one, if not one's on the left. If I'm the Colts, I play that front or a version of it all the time. Put pressure on Ben Brown, a small center against DeForest Buckner, or Layden Robinson in pass protection because it's a problem the Patriots need to have an answer for, and not just an answer, but probably plan B and C and maybe D.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir. I can't argue with any of that. Those things were on my list too.
All right, so what's
I just wanted to pick the sexier one, but go ahead.
No, you did. Key to the game. Patriots have to do this one thing, and it's not scoring more points, and you can do the turnover thing, which is fair. But what's the one key to this game for them?
Well, it revolves around what you just said. They have to protect Drake. Because again, as we've seen, him having to constantly leave the pocket or him having to constantly try and get away from free rushers has led to mistakes.
Right.
So, and, it's kind of the overall thing. They have to sort of win the turnover battle. So, that's one of them. They have to stay on side. That's another one. But, ultimately, the offensive line has to protect better. Let the kid have a chance to make plays, that aren't these all worldly plays that they're forcing him to have to make. Because I think he can be pretty darn good if he gets a few seconds in the pocket, sits back there, reads the field, and throws the ball. Right. I mean, I think he has that ability too. We just haven't been able to see much of it because he's constantly having to run away to avoid sacks or just to try to make a play.
It's probably the most salient point. It's just going against an average defense against the run and the pass. I've just given up on the idea that the Patriots can get to 30 points or 27 or 24. So I've accepted low 20s, high teens, which to me points back to the defense. Because to your point, to back up for a second, I would love to go, hey, you got to go tempo, right? Like you can't block these guys. You got to tire them out. If they're going to play that same 4 down front, Like, go a little no huddle, see what happens. But what happened last week at a very normal, regular speed was 5 pre-snap penalties on offense in the first half. Can't go fast if you don't know how to go slow. Can't run until you learn how to walk. So I went defense. I've already said it. GTFB. You cannot let Alec Pierce or Michael Pittman Jr. beat you down the field. Adonai Mitchell also hanging around, second-round pick out of Texas. Big, fast dudes. You got to have answers. Christian Gonzalez will erase one. What are you doing the other side of the field? And
are you sure? I saw a whole game against the Rams where he didn't go against their top 2 guys.
Well, I did say one side of the field. Like, he'll be, whether it's, you know what I mean? Like, unless they're going to put them all in a stack or a bunch, which the Rams also did a ton of. I wonder why.
You think I'm too negative?
I can't right now. Anyway, get the back. That's my key to the game. Wild card thought. I'm excited to hear what you say on this, because the rule for this is it's anything tangential to the game. It could be off the field. It could be historical. As long as you say Patriots or Colts, it counts. But one thought we haven't talked about this game.
The coaches beyond Gerard Mayo. I mean, I think despite the record, despite how it's looked, I cannot see the Crafts letting him go after 1 year.
Right.
But, God, we just saw what happened in Chicago with a head coach who had no idea what clock management was at the end of a game. But that being said, Gerard, I believe, has to take a look at his own staff as well. Does DeMarcus Covington need help? Is Alex Van Pelt the guy he wants leading Drake Maye over the next few years? I think Gerard has to come to grips with, perhaps some changes being, needing to be made. But I think, I mean, he said earlier in the week that everyone's being evaluated. Well, I hope that means he's evaluating too his coaching staff going forward in the next 5 games.
Let me put it to you like this, in a very 2024 sports podcast way. Over under 3.5 assistants gone heading into next year. Over under half a coordinator gone heading into next season.
I'm going to go over. Now I'm going to go under on the assistants and over on the coordinator.
Okay. All right.
What's that?
My wild card thought is completely self-indulgent. This is going to be my 100th game covering the Patriots in person, _ in person, regular season or postseason, which I know for you has a second making you think how many games it's been. You don't have to give an answer or a guess, but I just, in the spirit of the week, am exceptionally grateful and thankful. And that is something I said to you off the top, which, there's nothing I can say now that I haven't told you off the air or, in person, and just how long we worked together. But even my start at MassLive with Jim Pignatello and, working with Nick O'Malley and Matt Votor and all those guys, it's just been an incredible ride. And it's one of those numbers that makes you pause and makes you stop. And I had to count and figure it out because COVID ate into this number quite a lot in 2020. And we didn't travel, as you know, with the Herald always in 2021. We were back at it in 2022 and 2023. And you miss a game here or there for a wedding. But it just, I don't take a whole lot of time generally to sit and reflect on anything. And this is making me do that. And the feeling is overwhelming gratitude. So thank you for being there for more than half of those. And, just helping along the way. That's it's a big number.
It is. And just to add to that, from my own side, I've been around a little longer.
Over under 500.
Well, I've been covering sports for about 40 years, 40.
It's my phone getting very excited to hear you say that.
Is that applause?
That was a reminder to do radio I'm not supposed to do today. Anyway, just let me interrupt that moment with more annoying sounds.
I couldn't have dropped into the Boston sports scene, parachuted in during a better 40-year span. And that includes it's almost like bookending. The bookends were, boy, everyone was terrible when I started, and boy, most of the teams are bad now. But the time in between, I mean, I literally covered the entire Belichick Brady run for those 20 years. All but maybe one or two games out of that 20-year span.
That's insane. To
I
you,
was,
Kern, and Reese,
I
and
yeah,
maybe Perlow and Fred
I
Kirsch,
was,
and that's it.
I was there. I was just watching the Red Sox series on Netflix, and I was at all those games when they came back to beat the Yankees and win that first World Series. I mean, so that, between that, I was there for Bruins winning Stanley Cup. I was there when I was just there last year when the Celtics won, covering, not a spectator, covering these events. And I feel so incredibly blessed to be doing what I'm doing, and 40 years later, still loving what I'm doing.
Good. Well, we love having you. I don't know how many people are sick of hearing us, but this is the week, my people. And also blessed for everyone who's been listening, the thousands of fun listeners and viewers, and just really appreciate it. It's a fun forum where, in typical fashion, I tell you, all right, Cam, we're going hard cap 35 minutes. And whether it's you or Ted Johnson, I draw out the longest and most hot air out of anyone across from me, because we've gone over 51 now. So let's get out on this. Let's get out on a game pick. And then we will not have a long-winded goodbye. It will just be very quick. So give me, who do you think wins on Sunday?
Well, I'm going to drop my pessimist cap, and I'm going to have the Patriots squeaking by the Colts.
Score?
23-20.
Nice. I'm with you. And they're
You
underdogs. Last I checked, they were 2.5-point underdogs at home, 19-16. It is sloppy as hell, but they get to celebrate and laugh and joke as much as they want in the locker room, which they can always do. I'm just going to report about it after the game, but I'm sure Mark Daniels and Greg Bedard and I will get a couple cracks, one or two, which might have happened this week as well. She's Karen Guregian. Read her, as always, read her sooner than I did this week, but I'm so glad you could take time the day after Thanksgiving. Talk to Jabril Peppers, talk Pat's Colts. Is the bye week coming up? Much deserved for you. I know I'm looking forward to it, but more so looking forward to this game on Sunday. It should be fun. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Andrew.